It was always my dream to speak in front of so many people, but today I started to have second thoughts. I'm really starting to doubt myself now. Okay, first welcome, and I hope you enjoyed. I'm pretty sure you've heard about the expression that shoes say a lot about people. Not only about appearance or status, but also about the inner values. For example, people with colorful shoes are more extroverted. For example, people or a person who likes these black shoes, for example, people with attachment anxiety tend to have very new shoes and all the time very clean. How about these shoes here? Well, these shoes belong to people who are open-minded and as well, what should I say, it's favor individual freedom. And also they have a touch of being environmentally conscious. At the same time, I have to say that this person here who belongs as the owner of these shoes was literally very down to earth. I know this because this is me. This is Barefoot Chucho. I was born in Pucallpa, Peru, close to the outskirts of the Amazon rainforest. For me, and as well as other kids living in that area, shoes were a rarity, definitely. But unfortunately, we had actually very good weather conditions. So everywhere was grass and dirt streets, so no problem. I loved to walk actually without shoes until one day I stepped on a nail and I learned the main purpose of shoes, which is protection. Later on, my mother and I, we moved to the paved streets of Lima, where I got my first sneakers. I remember that well because I was allowed to wear them only on Sundays. They were expensive and white, you know. Then, years later, we moved to Switzerland, where actually shoes emphasized status. From my different relocations into different development stages, I learned that culture is nothing else than nature changed by human hand. And the more we changed it, the more shoes became a basic need. So, but I also realized something, that people living in those wealthier locations, they also tend to forget what the real problems are in the world. One day I came across this picture again and I realized, well, I remember my time in Pucallpa, and I decided to observe the shoe industry. Apparently, the companies that I have been buying shoes from were actually exploiting workers in emerging countries, polluting the environment and depleting natural resources. So I decided to dig deeper into these following three problems. Today, still, if we look at the contractors, workers, they still don't earn more than, well, less than living wages actually, and they are exposed to chemicals, and as well they are forced to work overtime. Their children, they fall into a vicious cycle with no opportunity for education, for example, and become victims of child labor. So talking about child labor, by the way, today we have 250 million children engaged in child labor. This is like twice the population in Japan. Then environmental impact. I will try to keep this short. The main factor here is that shoes are made of many components that burden the environment. For example, there is EVA foam, which you can find in any shoe soles. Those, unfortunately, when the shoes when they end up in landfills or if they get burned, they release chemical toxins. But the main environmental impact comes actually during manufacturing, not to mention also the illegal waste disposals. Then I'm pretty sure you've heard about corporate thinking. That means, for example, that to increase profit, people or companies are willing to do pretty much everything. For example, companies will continue to deplete, pollute, and exploit as long as the cost to comply might be lower than the penalty that they have to pay in case they get caught, for example. So we need to give them some pressure. Pressure is needed more than before. In 2008, we had 1.5 times, so the eco footprint was 1.5 times the planet, which means that the Earth, it takes the Earth 1 year and 6 months to regenerate what we use in 1 year. looking actually today, if everyone in the world lived like at the average Japanese citizen, we would need 2.3 planets already. I don't want to mention much about the standards in US, but you can see we're actually in deficit already. And I believe that shoes could actually make a difference by presenting more environmentally alternatives, so environmentally friendly alternatives. Looking from the point of view that shoes are a basic need, the increasing disposable income in emerging countries, and as well as the high population growth rate in those countries, the problems that I mentioned before will become even more severe. So, looking at the shoe industry, it will grow in the next 8 years over 30%. Looking at my background and the situation, I think a solution could be the following. Interchangeable, customizable, fashionable, orthopedic, and environmentally friendly footwear. I know it sounds fancy, but bear with me for a moment. So, features. You could customize your shoes by interchanging soles and upper into many different kind of styles and colors. You could also change the sole, because changing the sole would mean you change the image. The same when you change the cars, the wheels of the car, sporty ones or not. You could also save actually natural resources by using this technology. Then there are three main arch types. We have high arch, normal arch, and flat foot. So usually high arch and flat foot tend to have more problems. So for this, we would have the following proposals. So you could actually, we will create two different insoles to protect your feet, as well as in combination with the heel depression. And cushioning will be provided by a combination of the sole and insole without keeping stability, for example, and shock observation. We need that as well, right? So then all the parts will be made of environmentally friendly materials to reduce carbon emission as well as toxic waste. So the next slide, I will show you a 3D animation of the idea, but please keep in mind it's just for demonstration purposes, it's not the final product. So the shoe will be divided in three main parts, as I said. The green part, the sole will be made of recycled PET bottles, used car tires. With a new technology, we'll be able to change the parts within seconds, and the gray part will be made of biodegradable materials, for example, bamboo, organic cotton, and so on. The blue part, which is the insole, you will have a combination of both the sole and the upper, as well as you will have three different insoles for the three different arch types to prevent future knee, back, and hips problems. So let's have a look at some of the applications. For example, we could actually satisfy future footwear demand without neglecting the ecosystem. You could as well influence other people's lives, especially the contractors' workers, by buying those shoes. Then, if you are fashion-oriented, you could actually match your shoes with your bags, jackets, or shirt. Then you could save money as well, and space by buying only parts. Yes, I'm not wearing it, I'm wearing barefoot. And if you like actually, if you like the idea of saving space and you travel a lot, you will actually appreciate a lot the interchangeable features. At the moment, I said that we were focusing on sneakers, but imagine what the impact will be if we would do this for any kind of shoes. And last but not least, you could be not only fashionable and environmentally conscious at the same time, but also you could show how, how flexible you could be. For example, if it's raining cats and dogs, you could just change the upper to waterproofed ones. So we know the problems now, and we know also as well that everyone wants to make a change. Today, we could make a change. Together, we could actually solve the problems that we have there. We need to understand that what we buy is what we support, and as well that The question is not anymore if we can solve problems, but if we really want it to happen. So at the beginning I said, shoes say a lot about people. My question to you is, what are your shoes going to say about you in the future? Thank you very much.